You are now listening to the Minority Trailblazer podcast. Season 2, new intro. Let the story begin.
One time for the lovers, 2 times for the ladies, 3 times for the brothers, 4 times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 1 time for the lovers, 2 times for the ladies, 3 times for the brothers, 4 times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin. Hold me down.
Welcome to the Minority Trailblazer podcast, and I'm your host, Greg E. Hill, the culture change agent. Man, I'm excited. You know why? Because I looked on the homepage a couple of days ago. I saw Black Voices in Business, and then I saw the boy Mug, top 10 Black Voices in Business. Man, I was excited. And most importantly, I was excited because I saw so many other podcasts that I didn't never know about. So I done been listening, Googling, researching, following, snapping about all these other podcasts, and I'm excited to hopefully interview some of those guests and talk with them. And I'm encouraged, so shout out to iTunes, and most importantly, shout out to you. Shout out to you for continuing to download our podcast, for continuing to share with your friends, for continuing to leave a review, all that great stuff, man. So thank you so much. And you already know I'm about to plug. Make sure you leave a dang review. If you've been listening for a while, you love the podcast, I get your emails, I get your tweets, I get your snaps saying, oh man, great podcast. I'm referred it to a friend. But please make sure you leave a review too, all right? And I'm not going to hold y'all too much on the updates before we get into an episode. I just want to warn you, this episode is a little bit more relaxed with the business jargon. It's really just back and forth with a great brother that I call a friend, that I call, he's not a mentor, we're about the same age, but he be spitting some real knowledge about branding, about the state of America, the state of Black America, about dating, relationships, not like Rob Hill advice type stuff. No disrespect to Rob Hill, but not like that canned relationship talk, but just some real stuff, and helps you think from a different perspective. So this podcast, if you're looking for a lot of tips and strategies and business principles, this one might not be for you. But if you're just thinking for raw, real, organic conversation from 2 brothers, this is trying to make waves in society and for the culture, then this is for you. So this is a podcast for our millennials that are branding, and millennials that enjoy good conversation, and those that just want to hear good conversation and good talks. And I apologize for my phone just going off right then. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into it. And also, I will be sharing, if it's not this episode, but in a couple more episodes, I just want to do a full recap on lessons learned via the podcast. I want to give y'all so many resources that I use every day to be productive, to stay motivated, and some things that may help you in your business life or your personal life. So I'm going through a lot of resources, a lot of lessons learned, a lot of things that I've learned from my guests via the podcast, and go through that whole 9. It's going to be one of the first solo podcast I do, as well as, man, I'm going to be putting out soon feelers for the conference. I know I've been talking about it, but really putting that together, as well as building a team to help continue to curate this Minority Trailblazer brand, because we have a lot that's in store for season 3, but I really want to build out this team. So for those that inquire about like building out a team, want to be a part of this conference, or I would definitely be showcasing the avenues and where you can reach out to me. So without further ado, man, let's jump right into episode 36. We have 6 more episodes left in season 2. Then we'll take a month break, and then we'll jump right back into it for season 3. And I got a heavy hitter that's coming to lead off season 3. But without further ado, let's jump into episode 36. All right. On this show, we interview young, successful minorities in a variety of fields to educate, empower, and inspire our current and future generations of leaders. And as y'all already know, I am incredibly excited about today's guest, man. Like, I words can't explain how much, man. Y'all better tune in. That's all I got to say. Let me just read a snippet of the bio. He's a recent recipient of the HBCU Buzz 30 under 30. He's a 2011 honors graduate of Hampton University. I ain't gonna hold that against him. Where he was a captain of the football team. After graduation, he went on to receive his master's degree in international relations from Webster University. Prior to completing his master's, he serves as the first assistant dean of the Young Alumni Development at Hampton University and as a student development counselor at Maya Angelou's Public Charter School in Washington, D.C. He has held key roles in various organizations. I'm talking about, of course, he's my brother in Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, The League, Sweeter Lifestyle, and he's also a master brand developer with over 100 plus global events under his belt. And he's established himself as a credible individual in the world of high-end events. His end goal is completing his PhD, which utilizing his passion and community involvement, as well as I would like to welcome Mr. Just Know I'm Working to the podcast. Welcome to the show, Carson Byrd.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Man, no doubt. Yeah, man, we about to get into the show, man. How are you doing today, man?
I'm blessed, man. Blessed and highly favored.
Already, man. So as you already know, if anybody that's been listening to the Minority Trailblazer podcast, we always start the show off with a quote. So Carson, take us away. Share with our audience a quote or a mantra and a story on how you apply it to your everyday life.
Probably a story. I'll tell the story about Just Know I'm Working and how it came about. I was living in Beijing, China. I got a Facebook message from a dear friend of mine asking me what I was doing in life. And at that time, it was like, I was about 23, 24. I was about 24. And throughout my life, in our digital age, we got so used to explaining what we were doing tit for tat, because if you don't tell people, then you're not doing nothing. And then I simply replied, just know I'm working. I said it in a kind of like, slick mouth type of thing, slick mouth kind of way. Next thing I know, it was his Facebook message. It was his Facebook profile. Then it was my mom's Facebook profile. And then it's just something that I started to live by, just know I'm working. Just because it's not seen doesn't mean it's not transpiring. I think in our digital age, we post everything, we update everything. We got to show every day we working. Some days you just, you got to fall off the scene and let people wonder and let people talk and let people, figure out, because at the end of the day, while you wait and just know I'm working.
As we always start off, we talk about the past, the present, and the future to all our guests. So let's dig deep. Let's go from the beginning. This is your time to really share your story and let our audience know kind of who you are and where you're from. Who is Carson Byrd before 30 under 30, before Just Know I'm Working, before hosting parties in DC and doing the thing on ATL in LA on the West Coast and doing all this stuff? Where are you from and who are you, man?
I'm Carson Byrd, man, son of God. I'm passionate, authentic, and relevant. Those are the three terms that I best describe myself. I was born in Syracuse, New York, but West Dayton, Ohio is my home. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up with Midwestern values. I believe in hard work. I believe in manifesting your destiny. And I'm just a big proponent of changing what it is to be a Black man in America. That's really my passion. It's like, I hate being typecast. I hate, as Black men, they make us choose, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. And I think we should be all of them, that's me. My favorite artist is Gucci Mane, and my favorite book is probably The Soul of Black Folks. So I'm just kind of that. I'm on both spectrum of the fence. I'm just a normal cat from Ohio, man. I'm no different than any of my the people that I grew up with. My biggest blessing was I jumped off the porch and I left. So that's me. I owe a lot to my upbringing, where I come from. I say it all the time, like, Dayton is just a middle of the road town.
Mm-hmm.
You got white collar, you got blue collar, very, very good athletic base. We all grew up in a factory. So we got that system, that hard work ethic, Black, white, Jewish, Mexican. Like, it is what it is. And then I grew up in a place where like I went to all black high school. My dentist was black. My lawyers was black. I just grew up around black excellence. So what I'm doing now is what I'm like. I don't think it's too special. It's just this is what I'm supposed to do based on how I was raised.
Nah, I got you. I got you. Did you do you have any siblings?
I was raised in a single parent household. My mother and her sister raised me. My aunt has a daughter, Rhea, which is my sister in all sense of the word sister. We've been together since she was born. So yeah, like I grew up in an all female household. So um, a lot of female cousins, aunties, grandmas, and stuff like that. And I was one of, it was maybe out of 60, 60 people in the immediate family, it was maybe like 11 males. So a very female dominant family, but it also gave me my drive and my passion because them as women being able to accomplish a lot of things in business and entrepreneurship, it gave me the motivation to jump off the porch at an early age.
I got you. When you say business and entrepreneurship, did your family have a background in that? Like, what kind of gave you this
Yeah,
exposure to it? Can you talk to that?
yeah. My mom, she's a creative. You know, she JD has a master's in divinity,
Oh wow.
lead consultant. But her and my aunt, they were the first school developers in the state of Ohio. If anybody knows anything about charter schools, my mother and my aunt were the first black women in the state of Ohio to receive a grant for a charter school back in 1997.
Hmm.
So when I was like, what was that, 10 years old, 9 years old, I saw my mom and my aunt managing a $5 million budget. You know,
Goodness gracious.
yeah. So I've been around money for a long, well, around business for a long time. And then my mother before that, you know, outside of being a lawyer, her side hustle was a wedding planner. My aunt did nails. We always, you know, I've been going to like trade shows selling merch since I was like 4 years old. My
Hmm.
grandfather owned a nightclub. So I've been in the event since I was 9 years old, working the door at the nightclub. So I've been around it. I think it's normal. Like I didn't know. I don't. That's what normal is to me.
Hmm. Nah, I got you. I got you. So transition. Let's take us to high school, man, because I know you play football and you did that, but I know you're really big on. We talked about it earlier, not being typecast. So what were your other interests growing up in high school other than just playing football, or that was you were all interested in?
Oh no! I didn't start playing football till I was 17. I
Oh man.
actually, I went to a pretty unique school. It was called Stivers School for the Arts. So I
Hmm.
entered Stivers when I was in the seventh grade as a theater major. So I went to school to be a trained actor.
Hmm.
The only thing was my high school didn't have a football team, so I transferred my junior year to the local high school so I could play football. But I went to high school, you know, a performing arts high school. I was a basketball player. I played growing up with about 9 guys that are currently on NBA rosters. You know, I was a pretty big kid, so I was been always athletic, but it wasn't football, it was basketball. I got to like 6'2" at like 16 and I stopped growing. I was like, all right,
Same here.
yeah, I don't feel like learning how to become a guard, so let me go try out football. And I played football for like 15 games. And 15 games, I got like 40 scholarship offers. So it was kind of like it just happened. And never was playing. I never grew up like want to go to the NFL or nothing like that. You know, I was just like, I want to go to school for free. My mom got sick when I was kind of like later on
Hmm.
in high school, and I knew, you know, they put me in private school as a kid, so I was gonna repay them back by getting a scholarship. You know, I was academically gifted, but sports was always a guarantee. You know what I'm saying? I was a big guy, so I took advantage of what God blessed me with, and that's how I started playing football. But I didn't like start off. I didn't start playing football till I was 17.
That's crazy, man. So what would like when you were growing up? And I know this is the most cliche question, but I always try to ask my guests, like, what what was your passion growing up, or what did you like to do? What did you do with all your time?
I'll be completely honest. Like I just been about ideas since a little boy. Like
Hmm.
from DJing, I just was always intrigued. Like I told my mom when I was probably like 10 years old, I wanted to be the first Carson Byrd, and she laughed and she said, "What's that mean?" And I said, "I think since I was 10 years old, I've been on a journey to find out who Carson Byrd is, but I wanted to be the first one
Hmm.
because growing up, like the person that I kind of like looked up to and just loved his aura was Sean Combs as well as Master P. I
Hmm.
grew up very hip hop centric household. I just love that you could become famous from being who you are. You know, I think a lot of people out here are like such and such as a lawyer, such and such as a doctor, such and such as those are all like specific services, but who really gets paid just to be themselves? Like Carson Byrd is a Carson Byrd. You know, I'm paying him to be Carson. Like I think that's all I really wanted to do from my ideas, from the way I carry myself, from my content. I want people to pay me to be me.
So how could, I mean, just off the dome, how could somebody just in general, if they just came, Carson Byrd, man, I admire what you do. I admire you being your own brand. How can I be me? Because I mean, even though there's a lot of people that ask that question all the time, like, I mean, about passion, about I'm trying to be more myself. I'm trying to be more confident. What advice would you give to somebody out there that is just trying to find themselves? Because I mean, it seems like you're very comfortable in who you are. But what would you tell somebody? What would you try to walk them through to be like, yo, I just want to be myself?
I don't know. I think like I go back to just on working component. We go through failure, you know what I'm saying? When you or perceived failure and stuff like that, it make you reevaluate who you are as a person, especially as a black man. But for me, it was just like I became Carson. I'm not gonna say by accident, but I guess it was God ordained. But I ain't had no other choice. Like I was put in certain situations where I had to be Carson. You know, like I didn't have time to wait to become a doctor or a lawyer or this. I had to make money right away. So it was like, how I'm gonna make it. I know what I'm good at. I'm excellent. I'm an excellent talker. You know, God blessed me with the gift of gab. I understood how to connect with people. I don't know. To answer the question, I would just say be. I think this is the issue with people though. They don't know how to be themselves unless they know how to make money off of it. You look at a lot of guys that
Oh
are
man,
rappers,
say that
like
again. Goodness gracious, boy.
yeah, and that's the wrong way to be about it. Like you should be who you are with $0 in your pocket. But a lot of people are who they are based off of what's gonna get them paid, and that's why you have so many people. I hate this thing. Re-strategizing my brand. You should re-strategize your brand if you 100. If you are who you are, you re-strategizing. Now I mean, you could take more pictures, you know,
You could take
like yeah, but how you gonna re-strategize who you are? You know what I'm saying? And I think that I would say to answer the question is a lot of people get into business before they find out who they are as a person or who they are as a man or who they are as a woman. Once you are secure with who you are, then you could be secure in your business. A lot of people start making money before they find out who they are as people. I'm a prime example. Started off in hip hop promotion. I was the promo gorilla. I loved it. I was killing it. And then it was like, I don't know if I really want to promote gun violence and promiscuity. Like, I don't know if that's really sit well with me. But I wouldn't have had to transition or had to readjust if I would have knew who I was as a person. But that's what growth is about. So just take the time to really get to know who you are as a person, you know, and you know, you used to talk about upcoming projects. I'm actually doing a personal development component to the Just Know Working brand. It's called Gotta Know Yourself. And I think once people know themselves, like it'll be a lot easier. A lot of people out here lying to themselves. Shit, I used to lie to myself, like I can do X, Y, and Z, and now I'm just brutally honest with Carson. Like Carson, not gonna do that. Not talking about talking to yourself in third person, but just being honest with yourself. Like, you know, in every aspect of life, you know, health, dating, business, people just saying yes because they want the money, or yes because I need to get this ring, or yes because I like, man, you know that you going against who you naturally are, and when you do that, you're never gonna be successful.
You hit that on the head, and it's crazy. Anytime somebody asks me that question, I'm always perplexed. I'm like, bruh, I can't. First of all, I can't tell you who like how to rebrand yourself or how to be yourself, like or how to increase confidence. And honestly, I don't even feel comfortable giving you strategies because the fact that you asked me that question, I mean, it's all on you. Like, you know, a lot of times we ask questions we already know the answers to. So it's more so, like you said, just understanding who you are and just taking that time to reflect, because I thought I was weird that every week I just sit down at the end of the week, look at my week and say, okay, what good happened? What bad happened? What do I need to improve on? Blah, blah, blah. But then I realized I was telling other people what I did, and a lot of people really don't ever reflect. And it's like, yo, you just living life, just going through stuff, and you can't even know how much you've grown unless you kind of assess kind of where you are. it's kind of it's a very different space, and I'm glad you definitely brought that up. So now let's transition to your current day to day. Like, I mean, if you can walk us through, how did you get to like be? And I understand you have it back in your day when you were growing up, you saw it, but now, like I said, you are doing a global consulting, you are working in events management, you're going coast to coast. How did you even get to that point? And once you take us there, I want to ask, what is the lowest point you've been at?
I'm working on a lot of stuff. Like, I'm trying to get a mental to understand. Like, I've never wrote a business plan down. I never mapped out anything. I just was like, I was a big proponent of doing. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times, like, for me, I'm a thinker. You know what I'm saying? I believe in understanding who you are as a person, and I'm very much into philosophy and religion and stuff like that. I try to figure out the answers, but figuring out the answers require a lot of time. And for me, it was like, one thing I've never been is patient. I'm working on that as I mature and I get older. I made a lot of decisions, I've been in a lot of situations that I could have prevented if I was a little more patient. But me, I just was like, I just start getting to it. The events just kind of came naturally to me. I love people. I think the quickest way to change the world is the gathering of people. You put a lot of people in one room, you disseminate one idea. I think a lot of people will gravitate to it if it was presented the right way. Traveling from coast to coast, it's just, I've been blessed. And then also, I'm gonna be honest with you, I tell people it's two types of life you can live. You can live a comfortable life, or you can live an uncomfortable life. I live a very uncomfortable life, but to experience what I've experienced, I had to be uncomfortable. A lot of people at Ernst & Young's, a lot of people doing a lot of good things, and they got the house. It's just depending on what success looks for you. Mm-hmm. I'm 27 years old and I employ people. People pay their bills because what Carson does, that's a boss to me. I could be doing some other things in my life, sitting at, doing some other things, and it's a frustrating thing. You know what I'm saying? It's frustrating because I don't know if I'm doing it right or if I'm doing it wrong. I just know every day I pray to God, thank you for allowing me to get another one. And I pray today is the day that I make it big. And I wake up every day saying that, and hopefully, prayerfully, while I'm waiting, just know God is working, that's all I could do. But I got into entrepreneurship for real brute force, man. Like I said, as a black man, I'm really big on that. Like, I didn't grow up with a father, but I look forward to being one, mm-hmm. and understanding what sacrifice is, and being able to create a system or a template for my son to flourish. Because I wasn't always blessed with that situation. When I graduated from my master's, I applied to over 170 jobs. I went on maybe like 60 interviews, and I got told no. And after a while, I became very depressed. You know what I'm saying? I started to look myself in the mirror like, damn, maybe I'm not who I say I am. And it was two decisions. It was either keep applying for jobs or start making your own money. So I just went back to doing what I knew how to do. I know how to do events. I know how to public speak, and I know how to develop brands digitally. And that's what I do for a living. So I link with people if they want to develop their brand. I help consumer brands that want to integrate into the urban millennial market. I trademark the word urban millennial. So for really defining what that is for us, that our culture and all aspects. And just know I'm working, trying to develop and just know I'm working. It'd be a success advocacy brand, or the urban millennial version of what would Jesus do, being able to introduce faith principles into the mind of millennials as entrepreneurs, because it's a process, man. It's definitely a process. It's not easy, but somebody gonna do it. I don't know. Yeah, I would say the biggest lesson that millennials have, or the biggest blessing that we have, is we go through business development while we're also going through personal development. At the end of the day, they both gotta happen, but it's so magical when they happen at the same time. It hurts. It's difficult, but at least we getting it out the way. So we walking in at 35, we already know. I know who I am as a man. I know who I am as a business owner. I'm ready to rock and roll. Instead of getting to the money and then you got to go find yourself, or find yourself and then you got to go find the money. Shit, we blessed because it's happening at the same time.
Nah, you hit it on the head, man. There's a lot of things to grab out of that. And the two things that I got was, it's a quote that I heard from E.T., but I don't know if he's the one that said it, but he said, go where you're appreciated, not where you're tolerated. And I think when you spoke about to applying for all those jobs and not hearing back from any of them. And it's like, yo, but then in your space, you're appreciated. You're appreciated for your insight about the urban millennial. You're appreciated about your savviness as far as marketing, as far as event promoting. You're appreciated for your communication style and whatnot. And honestly, that is the biggest key in itself. Cause I have a similar situation. I mean, I have multiple corporate jobs. I mean, working for General Electric, working for Johnson & Johnson, had a crazy internship experience. I mean, and had crazy real world experiences. I threw parties myself. I did all that. And when I left my job and I started speaking full time, things didn't work out as I thought. And I applied to, like yourself, I applied to like 300 and I got like 20 callbacks and one company gave me a job. And check this. In 2011, when I was supposed to graduate, I got a job offer Johnson & Johnson starting like $65,000. The job I took last year before I left there, I got 40,000. That's what they said, like 40,000. If you break that down, like it's just insanity. 40,000 to work full time. And I'm like, how at 26 am I making 30%, 40% less than I was at 21? And that's when you let somebody else define your value. You let somebody else define your worth. You let somebody else put a dollar on you and what you can do. That's the type of stuff that happens. And I love how you said at the end of the day, you started to define your own reality. And I think that's a major, major key.
You know, gotta know yourself. Like you gotta be fortified in your flourish, man. You know, for a long time, and the thing was, it was like, I'm learning. A lot of the no's was because I wasn't listening to God. You know, God ordained me an entrepreneur. Like that's who I am. You know, for a long time, it's like, you know, the only reason we want to go get jobs, we want to go get comfortable. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But you don't grow in comfort. And that was the whole thing. I've grown so much in the inconsistency, in the mud, in the places a lot of people didn't want to go, you know. And I'm not saying they not blessed and ordained from God. It's just mine is different. And the worst thing that you can ever do is, when you're a visionary, you want the life of a worker bee. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's you always gonna be frustrated because you're not supposed to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, in no disrespect to nobody, but that's really what it is. For so long, I complain. Why me? Why me? Because I was chosen. I was chosen to live this life, and not in a, you know, but to uplift the community and spread the culture. You know what I'm saying? That's what God put me on earth to do. To be a thought leader, the one to take the risk. I'm the guinea pig. You know, I pray from this interview, a cat coming behind me 2 years younger, 5 years younger, 10 years younger, he don't got to go through what I had to go through. You know, it's frustrating because I got to be the one to take the risk. But, you know, that's what leaders do. They take the risk for everybody.
Yeah, you hit on the head, man. And to speak on that, to stay right there, what you had to go through. Can you share with our audience the top 2 challenges you have encountered over the last couple of years, and what did you learn from them? And tell us what a story. Bring us there. Bring us to those moments.
Man, I don't know, bro. I don't be like, I just keep it player, man. I've been through a lot. I would be honest with you, man. I graduated August 2013. You know what I'm saying? I had $150 to my name and 2 bags of luggage. I landed in DC. I had no car, no job. You know what I'm saying? I was living at Howard Divinity School in a dorm. I had to end up taking a loan out just to get a place to live. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, to eat ramen noodles, you know, and I was walking. Like, you know, it was a low point, but now that I look about it, it was also my glow up point. It's helped me find out more about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the type of guy, you put me in a room with 10 tigers, I'm the one that's going to walk out. And God put you in positions to see what you really made of. I think we look at it as a negative, but it's really a positive. Because most people, you know, I live by this saying, you know what I'm saying? You got to be able to stay solid in the drought. You know, like a lot of people say they solid until that drought come. Mm-hmm. You start to see them shaking like leaves. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, I got put in that drought, and it was like sink or swim. 150 to your name. You know what I'm saying? By 3 months, I already had $1,000 in bills. You know, mm-hmm. I can say this: Carson Byrd don't owe nobody no money. Mm-hmm. So that's
the testament inside.
Yeah, I don't owe nobody no money. Put it like that. And then probably another thing was just personal. You know what I'm saying? Going through relationship issues. That's probably what grew me up the most. You know what I'm saying? That was probably the most humbling. Because I tell you like this, as a man, when you're going through business development, you're going through pressures, and your girl leave and your girl check out on you, that's really the making of a man. Because, you know what I'm saying, whoever you spend the most time with, it give you the most confidence. And when that person leaves, then you look at yourself and say, am I really who I am? And you just gotta fight. You gotta fight. You gotta fight to sustain your dignity. You gotta fight to sustain your mind. You gotta fight to sustain your swag. You know what I'm saying? Like
Man, this
that was what happened to me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I was down bad, but I made a decision. Like I don't think nobody down bad. We make a decision to be hurt. You know what I'm saying? It sucks. Like it sucks because it's like you can't delete the pain, but you make a decision to let the pain enhance you or influence you. I made a decision, you know. Like at the end of the day, I'm still Carson Byrd. You know.
Nah,
I made some mistakes with it, but it's all good.
and you got us to the sweet spot because I don't think we've ever talked about it on this show, but I want to talk about it because I know we have a lot of females listening in, and I just want to pick your brain on it. Voice of the Urban Millennials. As a grinder, as a guy that's always working and puts a lot of stuff on his back, what is your thoughts on maintaining, or if it's possible to even maintain a healthy relationship? Because
Nah, it's see the thing is, I'll be completely honest. I think one thing that urban millennials don't do is we don't allow variables to come into situations. We like to compare, but we don't compare variables. You know, I can never say I'm anything like you. You get what I'm saying? Are you anything like me without saying we have the same variables? It's one thing about black people in America that we don't do. You know what I'm saying? We started 400 years behind. You know, and then we say, hey, we're still behind. Yeah, because it wasn't the same variables. You know, nobody from any other race can tell me black people are not amazing and not doing what we should be doing right now. Even with all the mishaps and, you know, the trials and tribulations, we still ahead of the game because nobody could be dealt the cards we dealt and get there. But in relationships, I would say this. Difference between men and women, and this is what I've noticed, is once a man figures it out, he's ready to go forever. Women go through a lot of more phases and learning themselves as people. There's nothing wrong with that. They learn themselves, you know, because girls are mature faster than us, you know, but they always think that they got it more than we do. And then it's like, but when a man gets it, if he gets it at 25 or he gets it at 31, once he gets it, he's going to be solid in that foundation. And I think with us, that black people, like entrepreneurship it wasn't taught to us culturally, you know, like it's not a thing, but in my family, it was. So when you dating somebody that doesn't understand entrepreneurship, you'll never, the relationships, a lot of relationships just won't work. And it's not because of love. It's just because of practicality, you know, like girls right now, like just know I'm working. What success looks for everybody. Success for me never was being a husband. I wasn't raised to be a husband or a father.
oh man,
Like I wasn't raised that way. You know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up with a father. I didn't grow up with my mother having a husband. I was raised to be successful. Successful for me was being a business owner and being able to employ people and be able to say no and yes on my own terms. That was success. Love was never success for me. I know I fell in love and I was like, cool, this is cool. But like, I'm not thinking about marriage. I'm not thinking about having no kids because I'm not rich. But then you dating somebody and success for them was getting a job, graduating, getting a master's, getting a ring. And, you know, girls, where's my ring? Give me my ring. Give me my ring. I deserve it. I worked hard just as much as we complain about, you know, I apply for 150 jobs. That's how I think a lot of times it be in relationships and dating. I'm tired. I've been on 150 days. Where's my ring? Where's my ring? Are you going to give me my ring? I don't know if you've seen this or anybody on the podcast seen this. They got a little clip from New York from Flavor of Love. She on that new show, the 15 Seconds. And she on a date with the dude. She said, I'm ready. I'm ready for a ring. I'm ready for my eggs to pop. That's how a lot of girls be. Like, they don't care about that dream. They don't care about you grinding. They care about that ring because that's what defines, for a lot of women, that's what defines them as successful. I'm a business owner. I got my ring, girl. Got my babies. What is you doing? I'm better than you. So they looking at you to speed up your flourish. Like, yo, Greg, you need to speed this hustle up because these girls are beating me. Too many girls on Instagram got proposed to and they're beating me. And I've been with you too long for not to beat them out. You're making me look bad, Greg. You're making me look bad. Yeah, I'm like, I thought you loved me. Yeah, I love you. I love the idea of it, but I need that ring. I need that stability. And that's all women want. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna be biased. But a lot of women, in that society, that's what it is to be a man. You provide stability. You provide stability. And it's a lot difficult for us as millennial men to do that because in a marketplace, I graduated in 2011, same with you, was no jobs. And to be completely honest, women are climbing the corporate ladder a lot faster than us.
They jumping, they out here getting it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but you also got to extend. It's variables, though. If you understand that, you know what I'm saying. You like you know what I'm saying? We're not financially behind. It's just, and you got to know yourself. I
Yeah.
think a lot of we lying to each other. You know what I'm saying? I clearly identify what you want in life. Clearly identify the life you want to live. And then take your time and let God manifest your partner to come in your life. Quit searching, quit dating, quit doing all of that. Just chill out. You know what I'm saying? Keep your body on fleek. Keep your mind sharp. Like, man, it's plenty of people, man. You know what I'm saying? And be also understanding that it's another thing. People evolve at different times. So you might be ready to go to a next step and your partner is not. Don't mean that's not meant to be your wife or your husband. It's just not meant to be your partner right now. I think I know a lot of guys right now that are in committed relationships and are miserable because they had to split up their flourish. Same with females. I know 2 or 3 females that were dating older men, and the older men are ready to be, I'm ready for a family. And the girl is an entrepreneur. And she like, yo, I'm not nowhere near ready to be a wife, but ooh, the fear. Will I ever get this chance to get this ring? The fear, will I ever be a wife? I'm going to commit, we got so many people making decisions out of fear, bro.
Nah, yeah.
We the most fear-driven generation of all time. What if I'm never like my mother? What if I'm never like my father? Like, man, you gotta chill out, bro.
But the question, let's turn it to a solution-oriented discussion. So how can we change that culture, though? How can we change that culture of fear, especially in that relationship space? And how can we change that culture as men on certain things? Because sometimes, as entrepreneurs, kind of like yourself, we run on a different speed, especially when you're never really satisfied. So at times, we can be wrong. And I speak for myself. At times, anything else, everything I do in my life, I'm always trying to level up, be a speaker, trying to get paid more. I'm trying to impact more as a consultant or working with the school system, trying to create more engagement, trying to do this. But sometimes it goes into my relationship and dating life too, where I see somebody, they're great, but I'm like, man, I can get more, I can do more. And it's just like I run and I start to become a business. Like that's all I am, which we weren't put on this world to naturally be. Of course, we can take it back to hunter-gatherer stage. They ate what they killed, but it's some things that we can change as well. So if we can speak to the solutions process, like how can we change a few things about that culture you just spoke about?
I'll be completely honest, man. Like I'm big on being abstinent and being celibate. Like I've done it before. I did a year of abstinence. It helped me clear my mind because once like I'm be completely honest, like we got too many options in our generation, bro. It's hard to make any situations because everything digital. You get mad at somebody, you go on Instagram. You get mad at somebody. It's just so many people. So it's like who you focus on, and at the end of the day, are you ever gonna be focused on yourself? I would say that the biggest solution for real is being completely honest. I'm a man. I'm not been the best in my dating habits. You know what I'm saying? Because, work. The thing is be completely honest, bro. We at the point now in our lives where everybody's looking for a partner. Partner. Mm-hmm. But what happens if you're an eligible bachelor or bachelorette and you're not looking for none of that? What do? How do you keep it? How do you keep it 100? Like, yeah, because you want that clientele, you want that top notch, person to date. But the thing is like, okay, you've been dating a girl, some time, and it's like, okay, what are we doing? And what can you say? But nothing, and it's a sticky situation. It's just about being honest, though. I think the solution is being very honest about what do you want. I think a lot of us, and this is another thing about men, I'm speaking to the men listeners, you got to be honest with yourself. You get what I'm saying? I'll be honest with you, like within the first month, a month and a half, I know if she got the potential to be my wife or not. I know because I know myself. Like I'm like, but then and still we still date people. It's like placeholders. You got to eliminate placeholder relationships.
Oh man,
you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like if you're not looking for a placeholder relationship and you identify this person to be a placeholder, you need to nicely say, hey, you know what I'm saying? You're a great person. I wish you well in life. I'm here to support you in everything that you do, but I don't think this will, I don't think this is going nowhere. That's just what it is. I've learned. I've been in some situations that I should have not been in for that long, and that's it. I would tell all my fellas, man, this is the motto you should live by. Once you have gotten cussed out by a female, that should be on your rubric. How not to get cussed out. If you identify what got you cussed out, do not do it no more. Because it's pointless. Like, not saying every female is the same, but the first 2 or 3 days, people identify what they want, And you got to be able to be disciplined enough to say, even though she's gorgeous, she's smart, she's a doctor, I know I'm not going to be able to provide that service that she needs. So I'm going to take it just same way we do in business.
Yeah.
You dealing with a client, the client said they need X, Y, and Z, and you know you can't provide that service. Why you take the contract? Then you get mad when you getting cussed out when the service is not complete. You know from the day one you're not able to provide that service.
Let's transition to our last round, which is the future round, man. And basically, I just wanted to discuss. And before I even get to that, if you had to tell Carson Byrd something, the younger you 5 years ago, what would you tell him?
Man, believe in yourself. You good at you know what I'm saying? You great enough now. Quit drinking. And if y'all meant to be, let her go.
Say no more with that. Say no more with that, man. So, and then I got a couple questions this round. The first one being, and right now, where do you see yourself in the future, man? Just like this is all future round, future things, and your future, man. Because right now you're working on a lot of different projects, but if you kind of boil it down, and I know you never want to get put in a box. You are the most anti-box person I ever met in my entire life. So I'm not gonna put you in the box to say one thing.
I ain't anti-box. I just think you should have more than one.
Yeah.
Like I don't like. I guess in the future for me, you know, probably gonna be. I'm gonna be the mayor of Dayton, Ohio. I'm gonna get in the political space. I'm gonna go home and get my hometown jumping. Like I love my people. I think it's prime real estate. I think it's that place, that time. I shouldn't say that, you know what I'm saying? Because like now, you tell people everything they're gonna watch. So I don't know. I just say let me not say that. Let me just say, you know, a global thought leader, a business owner, you know, and a public speaker. That's about it. That's what I see in the future. Like I don't know specifically what it's gonna look like, but Carson Byrd gonna make sure black people good. That's my whole MO. Like money, cool, but I hate to see black men not in power.
Yeah, man.
I'm big on black male empowerment.
Yeah, bro. And at the end of the day, that's a great answer for yourself. Because at the end of the day, when you work, just know I'm working. That's what you stand for. That means every day you just go ahead and give 110. So you never know what you don't know what 10 weeks is going to look like, let alone 5 years in the future. So I respect that. I received that. But at the end of the day, what do you want your legacy to be?
For real. If it's all said and done, as long as I have my son, and he said, you know, if I can eliminate 50% of the mistakes I made for my son, man, I did a great job on earth. Mm-hmm. It's really what I'm passionate about, leaving a legacy with my offspring, man. I want my son to be proud of me. I don't have no children, but whenever I have a son, my daughter should be proud of me. I want my wife to be proud that she was married to me. I want my mother, you know, I want my mother to know that I did everything in my power to make sure that, you know, I kept her lights on and kept her healthy. You know, that's really what it's about for me. And on the business side, I want to leave a legacy of creating a blueprint for, I would say, unorthodox success stories. You know, I see a lot of people losing their mind, going crazy because they just creative beings and they just want to be able to flow and do whatever. And there's never been no blueprint or no system for them to do so. And that's what a Carson Byrd is. I want a little cat 10 years from now to be like, look, I'm following Carson Byrd's path. I'm going to go this. I'm going to go overseas. I'm going to do this. Because I ain't, like, I'll be honest. Nope. I don't have a mentor. I've never read a book on how to be successful. I just take the risk. And then I turn around and there's like 3 or 4 people doing it my way. And then they getting praised. I'm just like, just give me the shout out. Like, say you got it from me. Because y'all was all scared. You know what I'm saying? I jumped off the porch. I was traveling the war before. I was overseas by myself, backpacking. Now everybody doing it. I'm just like, man, I guess I ain't do it big enough, but that's all I want. I just want the acknowledgement. Like, you know, I'm the first king. You know, that's it. I always wanted to just be the first. Like, because I don't have no problem saying that. Like, people, I looked up to Diddy. I mean, in college, I looked up to this guy named Yancey Merchant. I don't know if Yancey hearing this. Yancey he ain't know, but I was watching his every move. I have no problem saying where I got it from. But then when it's with me, It's like, don't nobody want to acknowledge it. Like, say you got it from the kid, man. I did it for you.
Yeah, nah, you hit on it. You hit that on the head, and I know we never touched about it. You can speak on it real quick. What did you do abroad? Like, because I saw it, I read it on the bio and whatnot. You traveled abroad, you did that, but where did that experience come in the timeline of Carson Byrd?
Man, so I'm be honest with you. Like, I got accepted in that program when I graduated. You know, I graduated May 2011. 2011 was the best NFL draft class in the last 15 years. If you ask me, Cam Newton, Von Miller, you know, Jimmy Carson, like we had the best class. You know, I ended up getting cut. I didn't get drafted. I didn't get cut. So then I believed in this thing called a success schedule. It's another component of just not working. I think a lot of times we try to reinvent the wheel instead of going back to a time and a place where we experience our most success. And at that young age of 22, the most success I had ever experienced was at Hampton University's campus. So I packed my bag when I got cut, and I just went back. I was staying with a a girlfriend, and basically what she told me, she was like, Carson, you throw like everybody love going to your parties. Like, I'm like, man, I'm more than a promoter. She was like, yeah, you can promote anything because you can throw parties. And I went to the school and I basically told them, I was like, look, I want to throw parties, but I want to help y'all make money. Through homecoming party, they end up creating a position for me. You know what I'm saying? I wrote my own job description at a young age. But they weren't paying me no bread, and I just didn't want to become Van Wilder. You know them cats that be around.
Yeah.
And it was like 10 years. Like, I was like, man. Because when you live in an entertainment space, you could stay. You could be there 35 still throwing, you know what I'm saying, college parties. Nothing wrong with that. But at that age, I was like, man, it got to be a little more for me. And then I saw the opportunity. You know, I was the token black guy. You know, they got to have that one black person for that quota. I graduated as a history major with a 3.9 GPA. So a lot of schools, graduate schools. Yeah, so a lot of schools was looking at me. I didn't graduate college with a 3.9. I graduated out of my major with a 3.9. I graduated college with like a 3.3, you know. But they gave me the opportunity, and they said they was gonna pay for half of my. It was a $50,000 program. They paid for half of it. And I was like, bro, I don't know nobody else from the hood that ever been overseas. Like, I lived in China, London. I'm like, I just wanted to be the first. So I jumped off that porch. You know what I'm saying? I got a master's, but man, I learned so much over there. I started doing events. I did events for the university. I did our global conference on international relations. That put me in another category as far as being an event planner. I ended up hosting hip hop nights when I was over in China at Club Chocolate. You know what I'm saying? Just walking up to people saying, hey, this is what I do. I got to China with $2 and I end up leaving with like $3,000 wine in my pocket from just throwing parties. You know, like that's what like, I don't know. You gonna put me, you know, like I said, put me in a room with tigers, man, I'm gonna come out. Like that's just, I don't know. Like
that's a whole nother level. Bro. I never knew that, man. I didn't see that online.
Yeah, no. I'm just kicking flavor with you, but that's what it was. Like I got over there, I got the master's is in international relations with an emphasis in international political economy. So one of my goals, like being a college president, I want to take HBCUs global. So that's why I got the program, because I got the global knowledge to understand what it is to take the schools global and expose HBCU students to understanding that it's a bigger world than just the one that we live in. But at the same time, it was like they didn't pay us any stipend. So I was responsible for my travel. I was responsible for my travel and my food. My housing and my school was paid for, but my travel and my food. So it's like at that time, it was right after, you know, this 2012, 2013. And we just coming out of the global recession. So the US dollar, it was at its weakest point in the last 30 years. So the money that I had saved up really was cut in half when I got to the Eurozone. So that's how I had to hustle, because it was like I had money saved up, had like $15,000 to my name, and I took my 15 grand. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this experience. That 15 grand turned into like $9,800 real quick because of the pound, the euro.
Oh, that's wild.
You know what I'm saying? So it went away. Like I had it, but and people was like, you didn't know? Like, nah, it ain't about managing your money. It's about understanding the forex and understanding the currency exchange. You know. I learned so much over there, learning how to deal with the forex, and that's another thing I do. I'm in the forex. Like I make a lot of money trading currency. You know what I'm saying? So But I learned it over there because I was forced to learn it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think one time when I was over there, $1 in the UK, $1 only equal 47 cents. So I was losing 53 cents to every time I was spending $1. So my money was in half almost.
And that's some next level stuff, man.
So I just had to learn how to get it because it was like when I got to China, like $1 equaled 30. At that time, it was 32 of theirs. So I was like, bet, man. I was hosting parties. Normally, I charge like $700 to host. I was hosting it for $150 because I knew $150 equaled, $150 times 30. I'm like $4,500. So it's like I got $4,500, and over there, like a back was still only $2 in their currency, which is like 50 cents ours. So that's how I was eating. Mm-hmm. So I was just like hustling, bro. Like it was either sink or swim, bro, because it was like nobody was over there. I was the only black person in the program, and
Man, thank you for sharing that with us, man. So the last section of the podcast, man, is the culture change round, where it's a series of 5 rapid fire questions, and just to get your feedback on, man. You ready to go?
Yeah, man.
I bet. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Go to a historically black college and university.
100. What is one of your personal habits that you can personally attribute to your success?
I would say observation.
Can you dig in a little deeper with that?
Whenever I go into a new set and I observe for maybe like 6 months to a year before I do anything, I adjust to people. I would say adjust. I'm an adjuster. A lot of people go into situations and tell people who they are. I'll listen and I become what they need. So if I go in a room and they need a painter, I become a painter. I don't tell them I'm a marketer. They don't need that. Mm-hmm. I think that's why a lot of people suffer in business, because they don't adjust. And that's why I guess, Carson, what are you an expert in? I'm an expert in whatever you need.
Straight up. That's real. Man, I like that. Because I'm just finally starting to really shift and adapt. Because back in the day, I had the old mind. It's like, yo, I come in the room, I can't change. But as I kind of grew up and matured and honestly really assessed my skill set, that's when I started to be like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I am that. I can give strategic consulting advice on student engagement. I didn't think back in the day, if you want to look for a speaker, then I couldn't be of no value. Mm-hmm. But once you really reevaluate and think, then, and I think that comes with just humility as well. Because you can easily walk in the room and be like, well, I've done global events in X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah.
Nah, bro.
But it's not, if they ain't asking for that, and you sharing that, it's going to make you look like what, bro?
At the end of the day, I'm learning one thing, key component. Nobody cares. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
Because everybody out here trying to get it. You know what I'm saying? So I respect everything. That's just me. I've been like that from a little boy. Me transitioning from sports to everything. I just was the adjuster. Like, Carson, I want you to do this. I'm like, I'm not good at that. Okay, Carson, we're going to pay you $10,000 for that. I'm an expert at that. You want to pay me 10 racks? I can do that for you.
What is your favorite book and why?
I would say As a Man Thinketh, by James Allen. Mm-hmm. It's probably the shortest read anybody's going to ever read. Females should read it too. And it's just about changing your mentality about where you are. You know what I'm saying? I was a born pessimist. I'm big in metaphysics and things of that nature. I'm a Scorpio. Scorpios, we very black and white. We very realistic. We look at the end. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we look at the glass half empty. And that book helped me to look at the glass half full. So I think that book changed my life. And then my other literature that I really liked the most growing up was The Great Gatsby. That's really who I pattern my life after. He was very mysterious, but he had a lot of power. I really love that. Like, Carson, what do you do? I don't know. I do whatever you say. You still want to be around Carson. And I just love that about The Great Gatsby. Like, he was able to, navigate a life that he could have never, that if he would have told his actual, where he came from, he would have never been able to navigate the way he was able to navigate. He adjusted to the people. He found exactly what the people wanted, and he became that.
That's real, bro. What inspires you the most and keeps you motivated?
I would say my mother. My mother, she stage 4 breast cancer survivor. She got diagnosed in 2003, 2016. She been living with it for 13 years. Holistic medicine. She been through it all, you know. And I ain't never seen her complain or cry, ever. She ain't never said, God, why me? She just kept it funky. She made a decision to live and she kept living, good or bad, but she ain't never die on me. So, I mean, I learned I found a new appreciation for women through seeing my mother. You know what I'm saying? They can go through some things I don't think men can go through. So that's my motivation. Like if she can wake up every day, she make a decision every day to live, I can make a decision every day to fight.
Say no more on that one. If you were the president of the United States, what would be the first thing you would do?
The first thing I would do, I'll probably delete the Federal Reserve. I would delete the Federal Reserve to balance the market, to balance the budget. It's too many. It's not enough people of minority descent to have their hands in the banking world, and the fact that we pay government taxes to a privatized bank, I don't believe is right. So I would eliminate the Federal Reserve. That's what I would do.
That's a very, very mature. I've never heard that answer in this before. I've heard cookouts. I've heard a lot of stuff, but nah, I love that. I love that. I love that. The last question of the whole podcast, man, for right now is, if you had one wish, right? If you could change one thing about society, most specifically our African American culture, what would it be and why?
Black culture. Boo, 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 boo. Damn, that's a good question, bro. I'll probably change. I would change the education system, the way we think about education. We still go to school and get liberal arts degrees when we live in a technology-based economy. It's pointless. Like, black people, we don't adjust. We don't adjust as quick as other cultures do to the current. We love to be stuck in the past. You know, this is the way it's supposed to be. Only thing that should remain the same is your morals, but everything else should change. And I think education, like, my dream is to develop the African American curriculum, because it's like you meet a person from LA, you meet a person from Detroit, you meet a person from Durham. None of them got the same thought process on how to make money. But if you meet a Jewish person from Quebec, you meet a Jewish person from London, you meet a Jewish person from South Africa, you put them in a room, they already got the same concepts of how to make money. That's the only thing I would change. It's just our curriculum, the way we wire on the light skin, dark skin, all that stuff. All of that stuff would change once we make money. Most of our problems are economic. It ain't even social. Like, I ain't got no beef with no black man, no black woman. Especially if, you know what I'm saying, my lights is on, they lights is on. I think we all be peaceful. But a lot of us are economically distressed. We live in economic war zones, and they want us to function with normalcy. You can't function with normalcy when you're stressed economically in a capitalist society. It's no way. It's humanly impossible to keep saying God gonna fix it. It's like, after a while, it's like, man, you gotta create a system.
Yeah, and after a while, you're gonna start resenting God, and then
Exactly.
and once that comes,
then that's a whole nut. You feel me?
yeah.
So I'm saying, get your money together, and then everything else will fall into place. I'm not saying everybody deserved. You know what I'm saying? Everybody should be a millionaire, but like, I do believe in a lot of socialist principles like education, healthcare, and as well as homing and food. Like, as every black person should have that. You should never be stressed if your life's about to be cut off or your next meal, because then you start to see the vile nature of human beings. You eliminate the fear, you eliminate the vile nature. I believe so.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Nah, you hit on the head, man. You dropped a lot of jewels today, man. So for our audience, for everybody that's tuning into this podcast, where can we find you on social media, and where can we get, if we want to reach out, get in contact to see what you do or what you're all about, where can we find you at, bro?
You can check out the site, carsonbyrd.com. That's CarsonByrd.com. My Instagram is carsonbyrd.com, but it's spelled out with one D. So it's CarsonByrdotcom. It's the same on Instagram as well as Twitter. And then also you can follow us and check us out at Just Know I'm Working. Just Know I'm Working without a G.com, as well as Just Know I'm Working without a G on Instagram, as well as Twitter. Success advocacy, as well as what I got going on. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff popping. If y'all in DC, clear your calendars. August 12th for the Black Alumni Networking Expo, as well as check out Word of Mouth, hip hop karaoke for the urban millennial, and then check me out on the Minority Trailblazers podcast. I mean, what else we promoting, Greg? They can find me everywhere.
Yeah, bro, everywhere. Like as when this show hit the fan, man, is going. We're gonna have all that and more, man. So from the bottom of my heart and from everybody of Minority Trailblazer Nation that tunes in every week, has downloaded, has rated the podcast, and has us as one of the top urban millennial podcasts on the market, we'd like to thank you, man.
Thank you, man. You done introduced me to something. I think I'm gonna have to get my podcast game going, man. So
You should have been did that, man. But it's all about timing.
It's all about time and getting your content together and stuff like that. It's all love.
Once again, thank you, Minority Trailblazer Nation, for tuning in to another episode of the podcast. Make sure you leave a review and make sure you do that one thing. What is that one thing, Mr. Hill? That one thing is to change the freaking culture. Good night.